Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. I stared at my phone, its glow still lingering from the last message. "Don't call me," she had written, each word sharp, cutting through the months I thought we had shared. I paused, weighing my options, then typed back without hesitation. "Don't come home." The words felt heavier than anything I'd ever said, but they were necessary. I wasn't angry, at least not in that explosive, theatrical way people imagine. I was calm, controlled. I knew what was coming, and I needed to remain steady. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed relentlessly. 20 missed calls. Each one a frantic echo. A small alarm sounding desperation. The intensity could have unsettled anyone else, but I held myself firm. There was a strange clarity in the chaos, and I refused to let it slip away. I remembered the countless times I had been patient, giving space, offering chances, explaining, apologizing, hoping she would understand me. And now the roles had reversed. I was the observer, and she had become the storm. I thought back to the subtle warnings I had ignored, the little remarks that should have tipped me off that something had shifted. I had loved her fully, openly, but love alone doesn't hold a relationship together when trust begins to crack. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I didn't press it. I didn't panic. There was power in not chasing what no longer wanted to be found. I set the phone down, leaned back in my chair, and breathed slowly. The apartment felt emptier than it had in years, yet somehow, it felt right. I knew that whatever happened next, I wouldn't lose myself again. The first missed call had barely faded when a new wave of texts arrived. "Please answer. I need to talk. It's not what you think." Each message carried a mix of fear, guilt, and frustration. I read them all carefully, letting the words settle without reacting. There was no anger in me, just a steady awareness of the situation. This wasn't about winning or proving a point. It was about preserving the dignity I had long compromised. I remembered the nights I stayed up listening to her worries, holding her when she cried over things that weren't my fault. The patience I showed when arguments spiraled unnecessarily. The quiet compromises I had made without fanfare. And yet here we were. She reached out, panicked and frantic, expecting me to respond like I always had. But this time I didn't. Time stretched between the buzzes of the phone. 10 minutes became 20. I didn't call back. I didn't reply. I let the silence speak louder than any words could. Calm carried a weight of its own. Absence, deliberate and measured, taught lessons that confrontation never could. I considered her state of mind. I didn't hate her. I didn't want revenge. I only sought clarity, for her and for me. The attachment she thought I would cling to, the emotional hooks she believed could manipulate me, they had no power here. I was no longer part of her storm. Observing from a distance, cold and intentional, was my first step toward reclaiming the life I almost lost. By the time the 20th missed call blinked across my screen, I had made my choice. I didn't pick up. I didn't reply. Each buzz reminded me not of panic, but of control. Control I had given away far too many times before. She thought urgency could sway me. She thought her presence demanded a response. She was wrong. I replayed our last conversation in my mind, the one where I had tried to explain how I felt, how I always felt, and how my patience had limits. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't heartless. I simply recognized that the endless cycle of uncertainty, the manipulation through fear and guilt, had no place in my life anymore. I had loved fully, openly, honestly. But love that demands surrender at every turn isn't love. It's dependency disguised as intimacy. When the buzzing finally stopped, a strange calm settled over me. The apartment was quiet, the city hum outside muted by closed windows. I set my phone aside and let the stillness stretch. No dramatic confrontation, no emotional breakdown, no sudden twist. Just silence and the recognition that I had chosen myself over chaos. Hours later, I knew she might try again, with new messages, new excuses, new attempts to pull me back into a cycle I had already escaped. And yet, I felt nothing but steady resolve. This wasn't a loss. This was reclamation. I had learned that sometimes, the strongest act is restraint. Sometimes, the clearest message is sent not through words, but through the quiet dignity of walking away, unwavering, unshaken, unapologetically.